Satellites. They can see nothing under all these clouds, General Petrov muttered. He was wrong about that, but he didn't know it. Petrov was a fleshy man of medium height, with close-cropped gray hair. He nodded toward an ovoid shape strapped to a wooden pallet in the corner of the room. There it is. You want to inspect it? There were supposed to be 4. There are hundreds. After we see the color of your money, you may pick any 4 you like. Ashroof walked over to the shape, bent to examine it. He was a fit man, slightly above medium height, with a short-trimmed beard. He was dressed in slacks, sandals, a loose shirt, and wore a turban. Even though the room was brightly lit, Ashroof removed a flashlight from his pocket and examined every square inch of the object on the pallet. General Petrov came over to Ashroof, squatted. "Are you satisfied?" Ashroof glanced at him, then continued with his inspection. Finally he stood, walked to the door, and went out. When he returned, he carried a shiny aluminum case. He brought it over to the pallet, set it on the wooden floor, and opened it. After flipping some switches, he removed a wand from his pocket and plugged the cord into the box. He waved the wand over the metal shape as he examined the gauges of his instrument. He turned off the power to the instrument, unplugged the wand, closed the cover, and hoisted it. "I am satisfied," he said. "Good," said Petrov. "Now we shall inspect the money. Bring it in and put it on the table." Ashroof and 3 of his men carried in duffel bags. They dumped the contents on the table. United States currency, bundles of $100 bills, 50 to a bundle. The army officers and the civilians picked up random bundles and began counting. While this was going on, Ashroof and his men stood and watched. The woman, whose name was Anna Modine, chose a random bundle and tore it apart. She spread the currency on the table, then picked up a leather bag from the floor beside her chair and set it on the table. Opening it, she removed a black light and a magnifying glass mounted on a small light table. She used these tools to examine the bills one by one. When she finished, she gathered up the bills, counted them, snapped a rubber band around them, then dived deep in the pile for another bundle. After tearing it apart, she began inspecting random bills. "It's all real," Ashroof remarked to Petrov, who paid no attention. He continued to count bills within the bundles. When Modine put away her equipment, the soldiers carefully arranged the bundles in stacks, then counted them. General Petrov announced, $2 million. Does everyone agree?" They all did. A gesture from Petrov caused the officers to begin placing the stacks of currency in the duffel bags. "So," Petrov said, addressing Ashroof, "do you want this one, or do you want to choose all 4 at random?" Ashroof took his time, apparently making up his mind. "We will take this one and 3 more. Each of them weighs about 100 kilos. 6 men can handle 1. Ashroof nodded again once. "Use your people," Petrov said. The armed Russians watched as Ashroof and his colleagues, which was everyone from the van and truck, arranged themselves around the pallet. At Ashroof's command, they hoisted it off the ground, then worked it through the door and out to the truck. With much huffing and puffing, they lifted the pallet and its shape high enough to slide it into the bed of the cargo compartment. Then they climbed into the truck and shoved mightily until they got the pallet into one corner, where they secured it with ropes. With Ashroof and his men in their truck following along behind, Petrov climbed into a truck loaded with armed soldiers and led the way into the darkness. They drove for several miles, passed through several more high fences, and entered an area containing long rows of earthen mounds. Finally, the lead truck stopped, and the soldiers piled out of the back. They directed the driver of the following truck to park in front of the steel double doors. One of the soldiers used a key to open the lock, then 2 men opened the doors and turned on lights inside the mound. Several dozen pallets were stored within. An ovoid shape was strapped to each with metal straps. Beside each one, a steel rod protruded from the ground, one with a wire that led to the metal fittings on the rear of each shape. "Take your pick," Petrov said. The shapes were painted white, yet on some of them a fungus had begun to grow. Ashroof scraped at the fungus with a fingernail, removing the flora and the white paint underneath. His flashlight beam revealed rust spots on the steel skins. He used the device in the aluminum case. After checking 8 or 9 of the objects, he selected 3 that seemed to have the least amount of surface corrosion. As Ashroof and his men disconnected the grounding wires,